Okay, it is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting of the Juneau Utility Commission to order. Roll has been taken. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Ross to approve the agenda. The amended one. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes of the previous meetings.
So moved.
Motion by Ross, second by Bart to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public appearance. Let the record state that nobody. Okay, approve the vouchers and checks.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Bart to approve the checks and the vouchers. Any discussion at all? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Prior month income statement. Anybody have any questions or concerns on that? If not, moving on, council acts affecting the utility. Resolution number 31, 2022. It's a resolution awarding a construction contract for the 2022 East Oak Street reconstruction project. Consumption and loss. We're not gaining water like we were.
Yeah. What's rain?
Well, at Highland Street, they've been using water at their leisure while they were building anyway, so
Yeah.
some of it'll go to that.
Okay, anybody have anything on that? All right. Review totals of delinquent customers. Coming down slow but sure. Anybody have anything on that?
We had 19 disconnects, three remain out. As you know.
We had one water disconnect. They paid the next day.
Yeah. Okay. And reports of officials, utility accountant. Lori?
Okay. We have a couple of resolutions to approve for going to council. For the, they're in your packet. For the financing for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, the clean water fund. So if you can review those and pass those to council for me.
Authorize representative to file applications for financial assistance from State of Wisconsin Environmental Improvement Fund. Anybody have any questions on that? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to send resolution, this resolution to the Common Council for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Here's the first one.
Just talking about the first one?
Yeah. You have any discussion on it?
Mike, I have one question. Is the mayor that is appointed here as an authorized representative for the purpose of filing these applications, is he actually filing them, or is Megan actually gonna file them as our, or is Lori gonna file them, or is this just a verbiage thing, out of curiosity?
What I got from MSA is that usually it's the mayor that is the one that takes care of all that, or signs everything.
Okay.
But I think Megan is the one that actually does all the, between her and I would do all the paperwork.
Okay. I'm not trying to get him out, get him out of it, but it's just like.
Fine with me if you wanna.
He's just gonna delegate responsibility, let's take the middleman out of it, is what I'm thinking.
You have to have an elected official in charge of that, oversee that, so that's what that's all about.
Okay, is there any other questions? If not, we have a motion by me and a second by Ross. Is there, so all in favor of it to send it to council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And this one is resolution declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures.
So it looks like this is allowing the city to pay bills before they get the loan money?
Yep.
It's obligating the city to pay those bills before loan money is.
Obligating or allowing? It
The
says
city shall make.
Yeah.
We do have the $200 million interim loan, that's what to cover those expenses until the Clean Water Fund comes through. That was the purpose of that.
When is the Clean Water Fund expected to come through?
I believe it's March or April.
April
I think it was. And we have, the application is due the end of September. And it'll come through. The only expenses that we are supposedly gonna have until then, or for the most part, are the, engineering fees. And that was 800,000 something, 886.
So they aren't gonna exceed the amount that we have already borrowed? Did you say we have, you said we have 200,000?
We have 2 million.
2 million,
Mhm.
okay, so the 800,000 we covered.
Right. And I did it as 2 million just to make sure in case there's a
Mhm.
project, draw on the construction that comes through prior to getting the Clean Water Fund, but that would make sure we're covered.
Are there any other questions?
Are those 800,000 of engineering fees has that been distributed evenly between both Sensient and Mouse? Or is it just?
Nothing's happened with Sensing yet. We've gotten 2 invoices so far of about $167,000 from MSA.
I wonder if that presenting them with a bill for their share would promote them to start getting off dead center here, unless there's something that's been approved that I don't know about.
I talked to him last week. One day I called, talked to him. He was calling down to Indianapolis to find out what was going on.
I'm thinking sending a bill for their 39% or whatever that they've
34,
agreed to,
right.
send them a bill and see how they react.
Yeah, they've agreed to that.
Yes.
But they haven't signed it.
They haven't signed anything.
Yes, so they haven't really agreed to it, they've agreed
Well,
to it,
verbally,
yeah.
Yeah.
in principle, they've agreed to it, but haven't formally entered into a contract. But that doesn't save us from incurring these expenses and covering for their portion of it. You know, I would like to see, at least, maybe that might be some motivation to say, hey, at least the lines of communication between them and their attorney open up and say, hey, are we obligated to pay this? I'm sure the attorney's gonna say, no, you're not under contract as of yet, but I can understand why they sent you a bill, you know, because, you know, they've got upfront costs to be covered too, so. So it's up to this table, but I would say, I would think it would be a good practice to forward a bill for them for their portion of the design fees for MSA.
Should we take care, let's take care of the resolution first, and then we can go to that. All right?
With that one, should we be having it, that, oh, never mind.
No, I think it's just like AT&T and Charter going jointly, we get billed for all the work and then
Mhm.
Juneau invoices,
Right.
Sensient, so that shouldn't affect anything.
Right.
So, need a motion to approve the resolution?
Oh,
I have a motion by Ross, second by Bart to approve the resolution. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. Now, we can entertain a motion to send Sensient a bill for their share of the engineering costs.
Can we do that? It's not on the agenda.
I think the directive can be given, but it's not an actionable item.
I don't see why it has to be an actual item.
We can do a consensus, I suppose.
You can give the directive as the president, I believe, May.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will make that directive that we send Sensient a bill for 34% of the engineering cost.
So there is an outstanding bill right now for those engineering costs that
They were just paid last.
you paid them already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Lori? Got anything else there?
I wanted to bring up the point of funding for the street projects for the sewer portion. I'm not sure where we stand on how we're funding that. So I think we had talked about possibly getting some, taking some type of a loan or something, or getting money, and then when Aaron Worthman was here from Baker Tilly, he had said that their sewer was in a position we could. But Peter and I talked about it, and I guess I'm not sure how we're moving forward on any of that. So I guess I'm asking for a recollection of how that's working.
For the South Highland and East Oak.
Right.
From what I remember of that meeting, both Jason Lau and, what was the other gentleman's name?
Matt,
When Matt was here,
I think. Matt.
they spoke about communicating with Juneau about getting
Aaron
funding
and
for
stuff.
those, correct?
They were going to help guide us in that directive of what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, what we can do, what we can't do, was my recollection.
Okay. Yeah, cause I also thought that it was something that somebody's gonna let me know what I'm supposed to do, and I haven't heard anything, so.
They said they would be in contact with you, from what I remember, that they would.
Okay.
Give 'em a call, Lori.
I will do that, because bills are coming in.
We're in a situation right now where we've discovered the last block of Oak Street has lead water services as well on the business district there. The main was replaced in early 2000, and I don't know what happened. They didn't elect to do anything other than increase the main size when we were doing the Highway 26 project to loop it down the main drag, which we did. But of course, they didn't address any of those lead water services that tied off of that on the public side of the shutoffs. So we definitely discovered when the bowling alley had a water leak there and was interested in getting that funding for the lead water replacement on the private side, it was revealed that it is on the public side as well. And I'm guessing all those water services up and down that street on the public side are lead unless they've been replaced. So that street is gonna need a series of water service replacements on the public side. So there's gonna be strip mined in front of every one of those properties, cause the water main happens to be over in the parking lane of the north side of Oak Street in front of the courthouse there. So that's gonna be additional monies we're gonna need to get, because otherwise we're not going to be able to give funding for the private side if we don't have the public side replaced. We do not qualify for that funding, so now like Brett Bowman went into that thinking that he wasn't gonna have to pay for this. So I'm imagining the city is going to have to foot the bill until such time that we get the public side replaced, and then we can submit our bill for replacement for the private side.
We do get, we are able to get the funding covered when we're still connected to lead lateral, or the public side is lead. We have to put in a filter or something, provide filters
We'd have to provide them a
for the
filter.
homes.
But
That's what-
we won't get the
$200
funding
filter,
for it, will
Or a
we?
grid
Yes.
pitcher.
The replacement funding
For the public portion?
for the
Or-
public portion? No, for the private
Private,
portion.
yes.
I was under the understanding that we would not get reimbursement for replacing the private side until we had the public side replaced.
We're able to get the funding, the replacement funding from the grant, and we have 45 days to provide, filters, and we had contact with DNR on that.
So,
Just get some emails covering that.
Columbus is doing that too right now.
so what's the logic of that? Is this a short-term Band-Aid, or what are we doing here? I mean,
Yeah.
is that just buying us time that we
Buying
still
time
have
Until you
to,
get the public side done.
until we get the public side done?
Do we want to make a decision to, like, if we're doing a lead service replacement on the private side, do we just dig it back the whole way while we're there?
That would make the most
That
sense.
would make the most sense,
You
yes.
know, so
Yeah.
as they're doing them, at least,
We talked
Get
about
one
that
at a
on Oak
time.
Street across the street from my shop, but you didn't do that, huh?
that one was already copper.
Okay,
That was replaced at one point.
okay.
There's one that I got a proposal from Beaver Plumbing though is that the one next to the post office?
238, yeah.
Yeah,
That one, they're just gonna go forward.
They're gonna open up the road, yeah.
Right.
yeah. I kinda put the stop on that, Ross, on your old house there. I said, we're not replacing that service across the private property of the post office. I
Right,
says,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
bad enough it's been that way all these years. I says, we're gonna wait until we get the main replaced out in front and do it proper and go out the front side of this house, so. Yeah, it just was and guys from Beaver agreed with me too, yeah, this isn't really the thing to do. Can you imagine the ditch they would have in that parking lot and the settling that would go on, and we'd be babysitting that for a long time, I'm thinking, so.
They were gonna plunge it and pull it,
Okay.
so it would've been 2 or 3 holes, but still.
And then it's still, you got a private lateral on somebody else's property, crossing somebody else's property, so. Tried to avoid that from happening since we knew we were gonna pursue replacing it in the front of their house.
So I think we have 2 or 3 more on Oak Street in that section coming up. So should we have them
Yeah.
bid it out to go all the way? Or?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
'Cause it's the 1850.
That's up to Fair Street,
Yeah.
but what about west of Fair Street? How many more, you had like 3 that you knew of downtown there?
There's
Yeah, it
like
was
3, yeah.
1850s, 116.
116, 118,
And if we ever get a hold of 122,
yeah. That's
but
the
Christine's thing.
collectibles or something
Yeah.
like that.
We've tried to contact it like 100 times.
Well, you know where they live, don't you?
It-
They're on South Street.
Yeah, we
yeah.
knock on the door and they say it's their mom's property, and then we can never get a hold of the mom.
Well, the mom is Justman, right over here on Mill Street.
You give me a phone number, I'll call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's her mom.
Yeah, so the problem with them is their water's been shut off for years now. It's an abandoned property, so like how do we have any leverage to get them to do a lateral replacement when if they don't have water anyway?
It was shut off because there was a leak in there.
Right.
You're
So-
probably not
They
gonna
still have
fix that.
power?
Yeah, you can always shut their power off.
Yeah? Just send them notice.
Because I believe, I don't know if there's an apartment upstairs anymore, there was.
There was, I don't know if anybody
But if
lives
there's
in
no
there.
I
water
don't
to that
think
building,
so.
there probably isn't.
The
Anyway,
steps to get upstairs is pretty rickety.
Going back, but there's an
Yeah.
inside stairway in front, that's fine. But I think while we're doing this, if we can avoid it, and like I said, you press these people to replace theirs, we should take it right up to the main too.
Right. So,
Then that'll be
obviously,
behind
we're gonna
us.
have to come up with some kind of funding for that too,
Yep.
and I don't think we have.
No, I guess if Beaver is actively doing them, I guess get a quote for those as well.
Just have them do it all,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what they
Before
said.
they do the work, because there's a couple of
Right.
them that are like scheduled to go. So,
Yep.
and the
Yeah.
quotes are in, so.
They
that's
said
obviously
when
gonna change it.
they dig in Beaver Dam, they go all the way to the main every time.
Yep.
So,
Well, you're only doing half a job if
yeah,
you don't.
basically.
Then you avoid that transition from lead to copper, or lead to PEX
Right.
at the
That's
stop box,
extra
and too,
coupling.
you can, yeah. Well, I think that's what we should execute, but that's the commission's direction here, I'm just suggesting.
Can't that just fall under your main accounts, main and service lateral accounts for your budget?
Do we have any money
Yeah.
in that account anymore?
Oh, it's not my department. That's where it would fall underneath though, I would think.
Yeah.
How much funds, I see they're maxing out from what I see, these contractors are charging the maximum amount that, per service.
Yeah, actually, it's 5,500 is the maximum, and
No.
Beaver's been doing 5,000 pretty much straight across the board.
Yeah.
The one that we got for the one on Oak Street by the post office was
$12,000.
about
Yeah.
$800.
Well, that's a
for-
little
to
That
different.
was-
do-
yeah, to
to just
redo it,
do
yeah.
the
Right.
public portion.
Right. That's a little more rework, cause they gotta get around to the back of the house there to be.
How much was the public say?
800.
He cut us a deal.
I mean, they should be, I mean, they're getting funding, free money from, I imagine the rest of them are gonna be like that too, but.
I thought we only earmarked $5,000 per service though.
It's like 5,500.
So what happens when you run into a unique situation? Do they give us any latitude on that?
Yes,
So we
Yeah.
can submit a higher bill
Yeah.
if it needs revamping?
Yeah.
Cause some of it can be external, or a lot of it might be internal. You know, they might elect to go out the front of the house and make the adaptation inside the house
right.
rather than.
When we provided the quote originally for, the one that we've been speaking of on Oak, it was $12,000, that was $12,000, $12,000.
And I can understand that.
So we, contacted the person at the DNR and made sure, that we would be covered and not approve anything until we get their okay.
Okay.
And basically just have to submit extra paperwork with explanations of why it had to be that much and whatever, and
Sure.
so they've been working with us really well.
Well, you got the perfect answer or excuse there. You wanted to avoid continuing having a private lateral underneath somebody else's property, and they're
Right.
gonna understand that. They're not gonna argue with you on that, so.
Yeah.
Where did they run that main, the main on East Oak, where did they come down from the intersection?
I think they came down to Fair, cause I think
See, they did?
that's when they replaced that hydrant in front of Miller's. Remember that you used to have that gas pump and everything out in front there?
Well, that was actually my time, that was in late 2000, I left it then. I left, I was on in 2000.
Okay, well, the Highway 26 project was 2001.
Yeah. But I didn't know how far they went.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was handled all in-house. That's why MSA didn't have any engineering on it. It was just a replacement main and upsize. Oh, we had the opportunity on 26. They stubbed a larger main in off of 26, and then I think all we had was did we have a 6 or a 4 there? It was, terribly undersized.
Four down
And then, like I said, Miller Street had several lead laterals jumping from the Oak Street main to the Miller Street main with 1-inch lead piping, like 8 manifolds, like it was a manifold hookup to provide water on Miller Street, so. That we had evidence. Isn't that out at the treatment plant anymore?
Miller Street, according to our maps, doesn't have a water main anymore.
Not anymore, but back then. We had houses on Miller Street before they made parking lots out of them.
What does your map show for the new main on Oak Street, on East Oak? Down the fair?
For what?
The water main on East Oak fronting the business district.
You won't be on the map right behind you.
Yeah, it's right there. It's full. Line up, I guess.
It's 26. Here's East Oak. We got dotted red. What is that? What is the guide for dotted red?
I think that's 8-inch.
According to that,
I was gonna say 8 before, but yeah, dotted red is 8. So they brought a new 8-inch off of the 12 that was coming down 26, took it as far as Fair Street,
Okay.
and tied it into Fair Street. Blue is what, 6-inch? No.
now it's 10.
Okay, so we got one down Fair Street that's large, and then the old orange one, that's the 6 or the 4. That throws 6 all the way down to Depot Street, but that's been replaced. When's this map? Is the date on this? 15?
Yeah, 8-inch.
Mhm.
Saw the TV too, guys.
Oh, look at you. Got it?
Show off.
You put that up later, Alex. So yeah, I researched with MSA. I says, why don't we have an as-built on there? He says, we didn't handle that at that time. You guys handle that with the Highway 26 project and did it, handle it in-house. There wasn't part of a contract or anything like that. We just elected to do it when we had the opportunity to tie 26 into the main drag. They were always concerned about water flow on the main street there fronting the old courthouse, that was such a potential fire risk and what have you. Of course, I don't wanna tell you what kind of risk we would have if one of those downtown buildings would start on fire, all being abutted to each other, so. So, just more bad news, I guess. I don't recall, where do you leave us on what was his advice
For,
from MSA on what funding we should look for? Was there outside funding for some of this?
I
that-
thought he made it sound like there was some kind of funding available, and that's when the funding people of MSA were gonna contact me and let me know what was going on.
I would say squeeze Jason Lowes.
Yeah, I'll send him an email in the morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sooner the better, because these bills are gonna start coming in before the end of the year.
Right, where to borrow from, more than funding available.
If I remember right, it was less funding and more so low interest loans.
Okay. Go to too many meetings, I can't remember.
Don't blame ya.
Okay, so the other item I have is to review, we started working on the budget, so I had Peter and Nick give me information for capital expenditures for the year, for 2023. See if they can explain any of the items on there.
What's a CCT study?
That was the lead study that, the engineering, we had the engineering firm last year do. They did a portion of it, the initial meeting with the DNR and everything, and what the DNR wanted us to do. So we've taken care of that. The next step is to do the sequential sampling, which, Care's Chemical is gonna do for us, so the expense won't be as much. And then after they get the results, they'll give them to the DNR, and then the DNR will have a meeting at the end of this year, beginning of next year, with their findings and facts and everything.
End of 2022 or end of 2023?
23.
Okay,
It could be end of, it'll be, end of 2023.
okay.
And that's when DNR will take all that information, the water quality sampling that we did earlier. They'll take all that information and they'll make a recommendation, probably telling us we have to add another chemical to the water because we need something to basically encapsulate the piping, because not only have we gotten rid of the lead by the end of this year, but we will be dealing with houses that have copper piping with lead solder, and so they're gonna wanna do that.
The cable replacement for my budget portion is the last open concentric cable found along South Street. It crosses Arbor, which has caused us some issues. Well, last year we had that grounding issue with all those homes. If you guys remember, people's appliances were burnt up. So that's a big portion of that, along with Leonard and Downey. There was two old sections of open concentric that should have been done during that project, but that was right during that transitionary period of my predecessor. So that didn't get done during that time. But all that cable is behind the sidewalk. There won't be any sidewalk removal or anything like that. It'll be potholing by the transformers and boring out to the backside of the sidewalks, and then boring along the sidewalks and back in. So as far as disturbances in that area, it'll be kept to a minimum. We did pipe out new pipe in preparation for this, so there's already 2 stubs coming out of transformers for that project. So that's with that cable replacement. I'm re-implementing the street lighting LED conversions. If you remember from meetings prior, we took that out of this year's budget just because of the cost of the road projects that were happening. I anticipated taking about 3 years of that sized budget to get all the main streets, converted over.
One comment on that. When I got a letter from the city about my tree, and it turns out that there's a section right before it talks about trees in our city code, that lighting is HPS. So
HPS.
that code needs to be changed to relate to the fact that we are changing to LED, because the color is significantly different on the LED that you've been installing versus HPS.
And the newer fixtures, actually the ones that are installed, you can change the lighting color of those. Just talking to other communities, the color setting that I have it on is what the other utilities are going with.
I'm just saying though that our codes does say, specifically say, city code specifically does say HPS.
So I don't know who we go to
If we
city
wanna-
side to.
If we wanna keep it, if we wanna go to the whiter light, then we need to change the city code.
We're also supposed to be putting 25-foot poles in residential areas, not 30s. That's
in
part,
the
that's
city
part
code,
of the,
that's-
that's
that's
part
in
of
the
the
city code
ordinance
as
too.
well.
And I'm just trying to keep the what's been installed in the last how many years for.
Well,
you
as
know,
I drove-
I'm just saying, there is a city code on,
Yeah.
Nope, I
heights
agree.
of light poles as well.
Yeah, we'll get that.
And it's in the same
That-
place.
That would have to be referred to a plan commission for a change.
Okay. You have on here hire an apprentice lineman. Are you looking for somebody new or someone you're still in training, coming out of training?
It would be open to all applicants. That current employee that we have would be a great fit. I don't think he's gonna be here that long because he's been second pick for the last 4 interviews he's doing. There's currently a big transition of employees happening with our area utilities because of significant wage differences that are happening right now. So he's done 5 interviews since he's been working here. I don't think he's gonna be here by that time, but as you can see, the budget reflects just an average if we would happen to hire a lineman, just in case, but I would more be looking at an apprentice to get a local person, because I feel like a local person would stick around longer. Our budget does adapt to a third employee. Actually, after that presentation that Baker Tilly did, with that percent of allowable money that we have in, that got me curious of why we were so much higher. Our rates are designed to have 3 employees at the utility. It always has been since when I was hired. There's also with the big push for me for wanting this third person is getting called in. 10 years I haven't missed a call. I can't leave anywhere on the weekends because we got 2 employees. I mean, you don't hear of any utilities that have 2 employees anymore. Hardyville hired a 3rd employee. Based on our size and the amount of work to do, I think a 3rd employee would definitely benefit what we can accomplish, especially with the changes that are going to be happening with transformer increases and things like that. I'm always excited when we get our summer helper because we can get so much work done. So that's why I have that in the budget.
Would it perpetually be an apprentice position or just a full-time? With the
It would be a full-time
availability
apprentice
to move to-
or lineman. So
Right.
yeah, the way our programs are just set up, you hire on as apprentice. It's only 4 weeks throughout the year, for depending on, it's either 3 years or 4 years, depending on what they received in their 9-month program. So it could potentially be a 3-year apprenticeship over a 4-year apprenticeship. And if we do an apprentice, we would have to get a policy written up for completing the apprenticeship program and amount of service years after their apprenticeship, because it saves the utility commission from forking out a lot of money just for that employee to leave right after their apprenticeship. And that was actually just being discussed through a WPPI server that I'm a part of, where Sun Prairie, Columbus, Waterloo have all put inputs about what they have in place for that apprenticeship program, where it's 90% they pay back if they leave within the first year, 80% if they leave in the second year, so on and so forth. So it covers the utility, the cost of the apprenticeship program, if we go that route. Either way, we probably should have that policy put in place if there was ever someone that left and then a rehire. But I would definitely like that kid to be around by then, but I don't think he's gonna make it that long.
How many manholes do we need to rehab total in the city?
Approximately 20. And I got a quote to do them from Northern Pipe last year.
That's what your 20,000 on here is for 10 of them? Is from Northern Pipe, or for, you're saying the additional?
Oh, I'm sorry, it was 10 manholes, yes, for 20,000.
How many more are there that need to be rehabbed? That's my question.
Having done the manhole surveys, that's the ones that we've done so far. So it's kind of like the collection system. We'll do like 20%, 15-20% a year of the collection system to see the condition of it, to clean it and televise it. So this is what we found so far from the street project that was supposed to be done this year,
Right.
but it's not being done. So
The 10 was from Scott's projects
yeah,
that were supposed to happen this year.
correct.
They only know until after they televise them.
Okay. Your Sentinel sampler, that is something that's not with our upgrade of our plant then?
It would be out of, hopefully we could take it out of the DNR replacement fund.
But it's not part of the plant upgrade?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's what I meant.
I don't know if it's too late to add it to it. Then, I don't know.
Yeah, but by the time that happens.
Then you're
probably-
talking 3 years from now by the time we actually get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not asking to push out, I'm just asking, are we throwing good money at bad, are we looking
Oh.
at, that's what I'm looking at.
That's something that
No,
will be used
it'll
irregardless.
be there for.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
I'd come out of replacement fund with it.
You're increasing the RE 300 to 2 loads per year because of,
Sentient, the loadings that they're giving us. So I don't know if we wanna think about, increasing the surge charges that we're sending, that they're being charged now to compensate for that.
are they out
And
of
obviously that would-
compliance?
They're not out of compliance, no, that their
Okay.
loadings are causing us to have to use more chemical.
Okay.
So I mean, that would be something for another meeting to discuss that if we wanted to increase the rates.
$45,000 a year?
Isn't that language already in that penalty clause
It is.
for that?
It is, and, we're making more through penalties from them. I think last month was $35,000 that we got from them.
That includes the $18,000 flat
Right,
fee,
right.
so, but they've been getting the, moderate to severe surge charges. They've been getting them every month for the last 3-4 months now,
So in the end, that's covering for it.
yeah. So
It
it's-
is.
It's like
I mean, if it's
$10,000 to
been a couple
$12,000
months.
a month.
Okay. As long as they're paying their fair share for it as well.
No, definitely. Good question.
Minimal,
tired
Yeah,
of being.
I'm not
like
crazy.
routine anyway.
See, and I don't
Just
even know why, I don't know if
pumping
that
it
even
up a
needs
little
to be in
bit
the
more.
budget, really, I mean,
Yeah.
It's not as a line, it's not,
Oh.
there's
It'll
no
be in
dollars
the-
here, it's
yeah.
informational.
It's gonna be
I
in the
gotcha.
O and M expenses
I didn't
on
look at
the,
that.
on the other
Plan,
part of the
but
budget.
You're already there
Yeah.
doing it, so.
Yeah.
There's just a forewarning. Peter, I didn't have anything under the iron filters.
Yeah,
with-
'cause I haven't gotten a quote
Got
back
anything
from them
back
yet.
yet.
Okay, anybody have any other questions, or? If not, we will move on. Nick,
Cooks have finished their work up on East Oak Street. United Electric has one last service to do, which will be done tomorrow. We are finalizing the landscaping around the homes with that last one to do. We'll do 2 tomorrow. So that road will be basically wrapped up as far as the electrical conversion, other than the tear down of the existing overhead system. We have to hold off on tearing it down until Charter can put a permanent temporary amplifier down, since they didn't go joint with us. So I spoke to Ron Frozzi, who is the project manager for Charter for this area, and he just got that project approved. So I was telling him about timeline-wise, he will be coming to we have a pre-construction meeting this coming Tuesday for the East Oak Street project with SOPR and MSA. But the way it sounds, Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, concrete's happening in spring, correct?
Most likely,
So,
depending on how things progress.
they should be okay with getting their services in and mainlining services in, so. Hopefully we can get that temporary amplifier in so we can wrap up our portion and take down our primary, and that we don't have a 50 kVA transformer sitting there idle for less than 5 amps of load, which is kind of what I'm pushing for, because it's a waste of money for the utility to have that there.
You got provisions for their power supply?
As far as,
Power, to their power supply. I put one on the pole down there years ago that they're still using on the, like, that you're referring to. How are they getting power now once your overhead goes down? You got provisions
yeah,
for that?
yeah,
Okay.
they're setting it next to a handhole.
Okay.
One of the 7 handholds that are up
Okay,
there, so.
that's
yes.
what I was wondering.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you meant like in the meantime, like if they're,
No.
but yeah, what they did on their last job is they put one, a permanent, station where they're putting the amplifier, and then temporaried it over to the overhead system. So that's what I'm pushing for them to get done, so that we can take down our overhead system. And we can't take down the secondary because it's a shared neutral up there until, that primary can be de-energized. So nonetheless, that overhead, it's basically not being utilized anymore, other than that amplifier. It should be down hopefully by the end of this month. All the customers were very pleased with their contractors, and we're happy overall with the job and the cleanliness of Cooks and how they were able to clean things back up.
What about streetlights? Keeping them up?
We're gonna maintain those just like we did as long as we could.
Right.
As you saw, the poles are now gone because they're coming in. But we got them temporaried over with that 50 kV transformer right now. But as soon as we get streetlights for Highland Street, we can temporary over from those to get them back onto the metering. And so that shouldn't be an issue as far as keeping streetlights as long as possible. And if we have to, we'll keep the overhead ones there all the way until concrete.
Yep.
They start doing that, so. 3 services are to go in this month by the Goose Park there. They currently have their meter sockets on there, but I gotta give them a call. I went over there to call a locate in to put those services in, but there's quite a bit of backfill that needs to be put in before we put the services in, otherwise our services will be 6 feet deep, and we don't want that. We cut down a tree by Sensient's warehouse that was infringing on our primary system. We started inspections. We only got half a day's worth, because we keep getting pulled away for this road project. But that should be wrapped up in about 4 days worth of inspections to get a third of the system done. With that inspection, we will be incorporating our new tying our meters to our transformers, so that we're getting data back from our transformers to make sure we have appropriately sized transformers, whether they're oversized or undersized. Works in both ways. So that's a good new technology that we got. We put in a new guy pole. If you guys drive out on North Depot Street, you'll see a new pole put on the northwest of the intersection of Depot and East Oak, and that was because it was a miss by MSA that the current anchor was infringing with the new proposed intersection of Depot and East Oak. So the only way we could guide that pole was to have a guy going across Depot Street and down to a guide pole. We will look at that in the future to see if those 4 poles is beneficial to go underground. At this time it's not. To me it's a waste of money. MSA kind of wanted us to go underground, but that's not something that can happen overnight. The way I would have designed that would have been different. We would have put a fuse cabinet and did things a little differently. So once I got that call, it was kind of a frustrating morning, but we got that where it needs to be so they can do that intersection when the time comes. And like I said earlier, we did 19 disconnects, 3 remain out, and like I said earlier as well, we have that pre-construction meeting on Tuesday for East Oak to the dead end.
Nick, what kind of variable do they allow for those transformers as far as undersizing or oversizing?
It's 110% for a certain percentage of the day. I got to look it up.
Okay.
But, and they have that variable built into that software, so it only flags those transformers if they're overloaded for a certain portion of the day. So we only get notified if they exceed the load limit for X amount of time in the day. That way, you know, if something gets overloaded for a day, that's not a big deal, or even 2 days a week for that matter. They have that built into that software, so it's kind of idiot-proof for us dumb laymen.
Well, it's kind of nice for maximizing your profits by not having
Exactly.
oversized
Absolutely.
Transformers for your loads. At least you got,
And
you
I'm
know,
sure we're gonna find
that you got oversized
a lot
transformers.
of oversized transformers, especially on our industrial customers,
Yeah.
because they always overbuild everything.
Absolutely.
And so it'll be beneficial in both ways. Like I said, we'll be able to change out ones that potentially could be a problem in the heat of the summer, where they blow up on us, and we can minimize our already low losses that we have, and get those even better. So, and it also helps us stock transformers to appropriately size those industrial customers if they do ever fail out, which is one of those concerns that are somewhat addressed now. We have a 500 kVA transformer in stock in our yard right now. I did look at, the jail would be the only one that would be the issue. The jail would be the issue because they do utilize their 2000 kVA transformer. So, but they're on generator backup, so we do have some time to make appropriate phone calls if necessary. And there are emergency transformers that you can buy from manufacturers, but you definitely do pay a price for it, especially nowadays. So, that's all I got.
Okay, anybody got any questions for Nick? If not, Peter.
Okay, last month, on the 16th, we got a alarm at well 3, a well flow failure, so went there, went to the well house, and everything appeared to be normal. Started the well, the air relief valve didn't spurt, the chemical feed pumps did not come on, and the flow meter didn't register at all, so shut it down. I contacted the mayor. He said to go ahead and contact municipal. Municipal came out the next day and diagnosed it that the shaft had sheared from the pump. And so they had a crew come out the following Monday. They pulled everything. Received an email from Marty with the damages and everything. So I've got the costs and the options here. The pump was installed in 1999, and he said that it had been rebuilt a couple times, and the second time was in 2016. So we have a couple options. It's go with the options with replacing the complete line shaft or without. So I would recommend that everything be replaced so that it would meet its 10-year goal of inspection.
When was the last time that was serviced?
2016.
Oh, I don't know.
Are those on a schedule?
Every 10 years.
Yeah. And it's a lot of money to replace the full shaft, but you hate to say it, but the fact that we paid $29,000 to do the rest of it prematurely because the shaft broke prematurely.
And they can expect the shaft for 25% of the cost, but they can't really guarantee anything. So
It's 10-year standard for inspection.
it's actually
It's kind of the max.
mandated. Yeah, you're supposed to.
A lot of people do sooner if you have more corrosive water.
Well, this is the workhorse of our water system too.
Correct.
You know, it runs and pumps the most water throughout our community. It's the largest capacity well.
Correct.
This one's never taken out of the alteration, or out of the.
No, it's not.
This one's always, it's either working
One
with
or
one or
three
the
or
other, but
two or
this is
three.
the constant that's always working, so.
There's nothing been budgeted for this already, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
There's no funds for wells?
There's no balls.
There
Yeah.
should be a DNR replacement fund, I would think.
Oh, that's
Something.
just sewer.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's just
isn't there something put in for each well
Oh.
that you're?
Well, there would be a DNR replacement.
I questioned that the last time, I don't know what happened to that neither.
Yeah.
I mean,
There
it's
used
kinda
to
like
be.
an emergency
There
fund.
used to
There
be.
should
So
be
we
a
had
fund
money
for
for a
each.
well, every year we put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think there would be one just,
I don't know what
Yeah.
happened to that.
For everything else.
Yeah.
I knew we used to have one, that's all I can say, cause I think I questioned you, Lori, about it not too long ago, wasn't
You
it?
did, and I didn't find anything.
So, I don't know what happened to that.
Lori, what do you recommend for funding for this, or where do you see that we have funding for this?
Water department is okay on their, cash balance, so we should be able to absorb the cost, not too bad.
And still remain within budget for the year?
Yeah, we may be going over budget.
Is there something you've got planned, Peter, that might not materialize?
On the water side,
Yep.
We have, I mean, that generator project, 30,000 won't be spent this year.
There you go.
And that's that's put
That'll
on.
be spent next year.
Right, but that's
Yeah.
next year's budget.
Correct.
Right, so there you got it.
Roughly, anyway.
Fairly, yeah. So the total cost is roughly $54,000. Are you telling me that if you go ahead and do that for the full amount, or you just wanna do the other amount of 44,000?
Well, I was looking at the $28,000 figure, I was looking at.
Oh,
You want me to
Yeah,
come
you
look
got
at it?
different sections.
You got different on there.
63,
On the front,
83,
you gotta add 'em all
28, and the
together.
10.
Oh, those are all tied together?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay, you gotta sell one of your pickup trucks in the meantime.
Oh, sure.
Pay me mileage on mine, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think that'd even cover it.
You have to sell all three.
Well, we had that in those pickup trucks by the time we outfitted them with all the equipment on it.
I would move
13 years
to,
ago.
Yeah, 13 years.
take care of the necessary actions for repairs for well number 3 as presented here for municipal well and pump.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Ross to.
What's
do
the
what is-
what's the advantage of that 1.5" stainless steel line shaft at? What's the advantage of that?
It's brand new.
Oh,
What's there is currently an 1.5" stainless steel shaft, but
Okay.
it's 20 years old.
and that's snapped.
That's the reason
Mhm.
we're doing this
Yeah.
right now.
Okay.
That's snapped under load with a
Yeah.
VFD, so.
It was.
That
Why
wasn't
would they
even
have
my
that
fault.
for an option? You're kind of, they're not gonna repair that.
The option was just replace the one section that broke.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what they meant by that, okay.
Yeah.
You
But
do it,
they
might as well
had-
do it.
they had-
Yeah.
If you're gonna do
Yeah.
it, you might as well do it.
I can't
Right.
believe it, here's one.
They x-rayed them twice already to
I know.
know how to do
I
it,
know.
but it's
Didn't
like
do
a
it before.
Getting it on
So it
machine.
must have
shaft.
been just
Yeah.
stressed
They'd
enough.
been done twice already, and there was no
Yeah, I'm sure it's
indication that this should have happened.
Yeah,
Stress
But
and it did
fracture or
anyway.
something
it
a long
didn't,
time ago.
so.
Oh, he's got a picture of it.
Spend the money and just replace it.
And when Peter called me on it, I says, what do you mean it snapped? Did we have a reverse rotation or whatever? Cause they wind off and drop down in the well.
Yeah.
And, he said, oh, it snapped.
He said there's an
Yeah.
anti-ratchet
Shearing.
on that motor anyway, so it can't
Yeah.
spin backwards.
Yeah, oh, that's what he informed me, but the old
It's
ones
basically-
the old ones didn't have that feature. If you got the reverse polarity or reversed a couple phases, you could spin them right off the
Mhm.
shaft if they ran backwards.
I got a picture if you wanna see the shaft.
Here, send it to me.
Oh yeah, that's sheared.
I'll send it to you.
Pretty
We can
clean.
throw it right on the TV, it's fine.
Come on, now, we gotta use this thing.
There we go.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Moving on to do what is necessary to bring the pump back into service. Is there any discussion?
So just to be clear, we're talking about the 54,000,
Yep.
Yep.
including the optional.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All-
Okay, just one quick.
All four options.
Yep.
All right,
Did it sound?
all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Okay, the South Highland project, all the water and sewer utilities are in the ground now. Towards the beginning of the month, when they were going up the street from East Oak Grove to East Oak Street, there was a lot of rocks and just material that they were not able to reuse, so. Bill from MSA basically said we're gonna probably go over budget on materials, and I think, didn't Jason talk to you about that?
Did not. I asked him about bedrock, and he said no. He says we aren't expected to cut into that adder,
They
because
had-
there's an adder built in for bedrock excavation. I
Yeah.
said all of this stuff is junk, and he says, well, we got nearby dumping sites. I guess Nails is taking a chunk of it, and I don't know. Nick, do you know, did they refuse fill down there by
They did after a while.
and for what reason?
because they were putting like concrete and stuff in it.
Oh,
But then they found a different farmer.
yeah,
or something.
they're going out there on Shady Lane for
Mhm.
Nails Brothers Farms. He didn't indicate that there was gonna be an additional cost, but that
Oh,
might be
okay.
changed by the time we meet the next time, so.
Well,
That could be.
they were over their screenings the first week. They were
Yeah.
90 tons over the first week.
Yeah.
So
Well, then the bedrock adder might be used for bedding material, I guess.
Wow.
It almost looks like a faulty shaft, the way that snapped.
yeah.
That's pretty clean break.
So,
Yeah,
That's like a material defect.
so they made the new tie-in, with the water line at the intersection of East Center and South Highland. Got two good back tees, and so they started, doing all the water main, the lateral, the sewer laterals and the water laterals. And then as they were doing the sewer and water lateral tie-ins, on the south part of the project, they came up to 138 South Highland. They found a 3/8 inch copper line running through a 1/2 inch steel pipe going into the house. And their sewer line was full of roots. So the homeowner was there, they talked to her and everything like that, and she didn't wanna do anything. So they had to make a connection and adaptation to go from the 3/8 to the 3/4 inch PEX. So, or 1 inch, yeah.
Took some ingenuity, but they
That
got
was
her.
about 4
What's
footings.
Took some ingenuity, but they got her.
Yeah.
But
So,
her water service would have been replaced under the program.
it's
Copper.
3/8 inch copper. It's not lead.
Oh,
Understood.
yeah, but it's undersized.
It's like-
Well, apparently she knew about that in the 50s when they moved into the house, so it's been that way for that long. I mean, it would have been
Yeah,
nice to
when they
replace it,
coupled
but-
onto the sanitary tube, they pulled out the root balls.
Yeah, Alex called me on that. Crazy.
I can't believe she hasn't had any backups.
Well, she has.
Well, she has,
Yeah.
yeah.
Few now for a
So,
while.
we're just waiting
Yeah.
now on the pre-construction meeting for next Tuesday, the 6th at noon. Lead laterals, we have 27 total services left to be replaced. 21 are scheduled to be replaced. 5 of the services, the people, we've gone to their house or tried calling them, they have not responded. We do have 1 inspection next week. We've got 2 out of the 3 sites needed for the sequential sampling located. We just have to find 1 more. I talked to Sophia about that because I wasn't sure if we were to maybe not have any more sites because there were people that refused to have us come in and actually do the sampling in their house. So, and then earlier in the month, we were having issues with the totalizer readings we were getting from Sensient. It's like they were topping out at 327,000 gallons. We were getting that for like several days in a row. We contacted Sensient and they sent out one of their technicians or people that they use from an outfit called Durable Controls. They took a look at it, took their laptop and hooked up to it and found out that the span was off. It was reading 0 to 400 gallons per minute and our SCADA was reading 0 to 500, so that threw it off. We had LWN come and double check the SCADA computer just to make sure because it was still a little off. The programmer found a decimal point that was out of place, so we fixed that and it's good now, so that's all I got.
You should check the PSC report to see, like for us, if we make contact with a customer for a meter socket upgrade or whatever, and you're not able to give contact after 3 contacts, we are allowed to disconnect your electric, I'm assuming water can do the same thing. Where you guys can't get a hold of these people for laterals, where you just shut your water off and
You hear from pretty
you
quick
pretty
then.
quick.
Yeah, well,
The one's just the hard one because the water's already off.
Yeah,
So-
right.
Okay, is anybody have any, questions for Peter? If not, moving on. Discuss and accept Peter Galoon's resignation.
I am requesting to remove my resignation. I had something come up today, that is able to make me stay employed, so, I don't wanna get into too many details, cause, you know, we're recording it, but it does have to do with a family member. Now I have a way to take care of that person and still be able to stay employed, so I'm just respectfully asking that I be able to withdraw my letter.
I believe there's, as long as it's not taken effect yet, it wouldn't be any problem, as I see it. That would be my opinion. I don't know how that works. Anybody have any idea? And I mean, I don't think it would.
You haven't formally acted on it.
No, we haven't formally acted on it, and what you're doing is rescinding the application.
Rescinding the resignation
right,
letter.
yeah.
Correct.
So, as far as I'm concerned, we're happy to have you.
Well, thank you very much.
I told you that before.
Yeah, I know.
So, that would take care of item number 1 and item number 2 under mine. And the sentient update is that I talked to Jim Vermillion last week. He was calling down to Indianapolis, talk to Jeff to see what he can get them moving. He's getting tired of me calling him. I guess he doesn't like my voice.
Is NSA calling them as well?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's been.
Keep calling them, please. Every day
Yeah.
would be lovely.
if you can get him every day, it's
It's okay, leave them a voicemail. Welcome to collections.
I suppose I could even drop in. It's been a long time since I've been in there.
Might
So.
not let you.
That's why they put the fence up. Okay, all right. Anything, that's all I have. Nick and I will be going to the annual WPPI meeting. And I have some things I want to bring up to them and some questions on the batteries for cars that I just can't believe that we're gonna be switching completely over. I mean, if we get looking at what they were talking about blackouts or brownouts this summer, and all of a sudden you get 1 million people that get off of work and get home and plug their cars in, how much are we gonna be able to keep that going?
So it actually took place in a roundtable discussion in Lake Mills this month, and that was brought up. They have been putting extensions on the coal plants for this reason, because they can't, and it's a reliable source of generation. So,
Yeah, but we don't have many left.
well, they're even discussion about reopening some of the ones that they shut down.
My
doing
understanding
that in
disabled them, that they wouldn't be able to be reopened up.
Well,
You can
they
always reopen.
are looking at, some of them take a little effort to revamp them to get them up to, because once they're closed, they gotta come up to the new standards.
Yeah.
And they're looking at ones that are most cost effective to revamp and get them back online. So there's nothing set in stone, but they have been extending shut-off times for those coal plants, and I'm assuming that some of those will be reopening for that reason.
We got hydroelectric, but have problems with them because of
No water.
water
Yeah, out west.
out west of you. I mean, they're talking about Hoover Dam losing some
Yeah.
power. That's a lot of it, so.
Can I make a suggestion for the utility commission for, probably not this year, because we're getting so close to budget time. With how the utility, decides on wages, at a year-to-year basis. I know we go off of what the city does. But I can see it in our industry, we are falling drastically behind. I no longer am even getting what paid a lineman is making. So we do an MUW survey that incorporates linemen, water operators, DPW operators, every year through MUW. And I don't know if the city would like to start looking at that at a year-to-year basis, to help come up with wages, and not necessarily have a set wage for the entire city employees, because our industry is taken off as far as employees, and I'd like to keep employees here, and I don't know if I can when they're making almost $10 less than what the neighboring utilities are making now. So just for future reference, I'm not saying, because we are so close to budget, I'm not saying that needs to happen now, but future reference, that might be something to look at in the future.
And the reality of that is, Nick, the utility can make its own budget regardless of what the city does.
Yeah.
Correct.
Do they have a scale that they go off of?
The city or?
No,
The MUW scale?
this industry thing that you were talking
So,
about, do they
yes.
have a?
So what it is it is broken down into how many customers each utility has, how many employees each utility has. What's the median, what's the maximum, what's the least wage for all those employees, from 58 member utilities of MUW. And the one from this past year is not even close to what is the current one, just because of what's happening right now. All it takes is one utility to lose an employee, and they raise their wages, and all of a sudden that inflates the whole area. Because right now, there are so many linemen that are leaving right now. Columbus lost 2 linemen, Lake Mills lost 1, Stoughton lost 1, Jefferson lost 1, Sun Prairie lost 2, because you got Alliant Energies, Madison Power and Light, places like that.
We Energies.
You
You have the guys that are the contractors that are doing it for those places, and also
So
hire those
as soon as
people.
that one first person leaves, then let's say Sun Prairie was the first one, they increased their wages. Well, then people are going to go to Sun Prairie. Well, then where that person just left, that's what's happening right now, and it's crazy. I can't, you know.
Yeah, ATC loses, they're paying.
We talked about it at the round table, because people are leaving like crazy. There's not this utility, like obviously I want to finish my career. I grew up in Juneau. Like there's not that type of mindset anymore in the employee that are out there. So.
And there's probably not that many people going into your trade either.
No,
It's across the board, same with water and wastewater.
Nick, if you'd like, I can supply them a survey.
Yeah, I was taking a look at it today. That might be something good for you guys
Just
to
for
see.
reference.
Yeah, Wisconsin Rural Water does that also, they do that every year,
Yeah.
they do a survey.
Okay, I can do theirs also.
Yeah, it's not a, maybe we should go to when they have the thing at school at Dodgeland for jobs. They start
Oh,
giving
yeah.
seniors what a possibility to go
Career
into
day.
fields. I mean, maybe we should go down and
And I do that already. I talk to the, just, not without your directive, but I always go down and do a little presentation down there, for our field, and so. Yeah, you guys probably should do, your guys' is worse than our industry as far as people getting into that line of
Brock
field.
said he's in a class of 3 people.
Who grows up and
Yeah.
says, I wanna clean, work with people all day, you know? Not
Well,
many
I
people.
kinda did. I took a field trip in 7th grade, and that's got me into this, so.
But I mean, that's all it takes is a little word of mouth. But that was just something I
Fascinating.
wanted
I'm
to
going into science.
We will take it under advisement.
Well, then that's something maybe we should be talking to the school district about too, having them come for a field trip to.
And we used
Yeah.
to. When I was a kid, we used to go to the
Yeah,
waste.
I would,
management.
that's something that maybe you need to talk to the high
chem-
school or the junior high
Sure.
school
Chemistry
about.
class.
The chemistry class, John Schecker used to
Check it
take
out.
them
Yeah, I would-
out there.
That would be something good to talk to
Yeah.
somebody at the school about that.
And I think it would improve our scholarship.
That's another reason.
Candidates.
Yeah, at least applications, I would hope it, for scholarships.
But the thing is, I don't know if even doing that is going to help that, because we just talked about WPPI application. Well, that's the whole membership utilities, and they only get like 6 applications. And so I just think
It's like
that the
the
kids
don't wanna
aren't
go into
aren't
these
willing
fields,
to
so
make
they're
the
just not gonna
effort
apply.
for free money, or
Well,
Is there
because the Marine Parks classes are
requirements?
full every year. Well, there's requirements that you're part of one of those membered
You
utilities.
don't have to be going to school for linemen or
Well, they do open it to just linemen for the first portion, but if they get 0 applications, then they open it up to just member utility customers.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they got 6 applications. It was almost as bad as us. That's crazy.
no, we got one.
No,
Don't we get 2?
We got
We get
3
3.
3 or 4 last time, yeah.
We got 3, one person was not eligible.
Right.
That's characteristic with all the trades though right now.
Yeah, it's
Kids, they don't bond with their fathers. I mean, I always said, what was the thing you did with your dad was work on your car and stuff like that. Can't work on your car anymore. I mean, no father even lifts the hood anymore to look underneath there because they can't figure out how to get the air cleaner apart or, check the oil or whatever. But kids just don't work with their hands anymore. I don't know what it is.
Well, even just
Well, they
like-
do, it's video games.
Yeah,
That's
like,
not work.
a joystick.
No, that's not.
even with just mowing the grass and stuff, it's like, I remember my brother's working with my dad and repairing the lawnmower or whatever,
Yeah,
but everybody
exactly.
hires it out for service, they
Yeah.
have it done and they don't do it themselves anymore.
It's broken, you gotta fix it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything?
No, I think I brought up the issue that I had with the last block of Oak Street. We're gonna have to look at doing something there. I like his idea here about replacing those services right up to the main, and it's gonna be an exorbitant cost, but compared to what we're used to, but at least it'll be behind us then. We won't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. So.
and that's just going to be up to Fair Street, correct?
No, I'm talking about the ones west of Fair Street
Okay.
that we know that we've got,
So-
in those
so
problem
maybe-
areas. If there's only 3, it's not that bad. I thought we had more than that up there, but,
It's only 3.
well, that's private
you know,
side though,
yeah.
public.
Private
We
side.
don't know what's public. Is it let on every, let
yeah,
on public side?
I'm sure it is.
So-
I'm sure you're gonna find that because
Is
that,
there something we can do to hire a contractor to do all the public side at some point?
It would be good. That would be good.
Sooner than later.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Probably have $200-300 a household.
We need to
with
have a
instructors.
motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
You have to alter all that.
Well, it's
Motion by Cheryl, second by Dick to go into closed session. So,
Aye.
you were, okay. I don't have the sheet.
They used to make that 3/8.